Scott, we have a 12-team Superflex PPR 1.75 for the tight end start 10. Are you going Chris Olave, projected mid to late 25 first and a 25 second, or Malik Nabers? Go ahead, man.
Oh, man. So I think the first thing you have to wrap your head around here is, are you interested in selling Malik Nabers? If you're the one that has the Nabers side here, are you even interested in selling him? And what would a potential deal look like where you sold him? I mean, Chris Olave is good. He's probably attached to an offense that you want to ride out for the rest of the year. I know they didn't have a great game, but he had a really good game the past week. But his usage has been great. Their concentration of where they throw the ball is perfect for fantasy production. So I'm pretty confident in Chris Olave being top 15 receiver rest of the season. Like, he's one of those ones where you're encouraged by everything you've seen thus far. So it comes down to, are you ever going to get a better deal like this for Malik Nabers? Like, we can talk, he's the wide receiver 2, 3, 4, wherever you want to put him. Let's say he's comfortably top 5, if not higher. But the question is, do you want to sell him? Because if the answer is, I'm looking for the best deal,
this is a strong offer.
This is a strong offer. You're getting a 25 first. You're getting a second, which you can throw away and go buy something if you want. You can buy really anything short term with the second. Bank the first. We talk about what you can do with a first, and the timing of using a first and being willing to actually part with one can have a lot of power in a certain league. So I think it comes down to if you want to move Nabers. I mean, there's some leagues where I go, I don't want to move Nabers. There's other leagues where I go, man, this type of league, given how hard it is to get multiple assets, like, this is damn near the type of deal that I would have a hard time turning down. So I'm turning it to Shane because he's a little more convicted maybe on these players. But I think if you're willing to move Nabers, you may not get a better trade than this, Shane, honestly.
Yeah. Let me just reread it real quick, Shane. So it's a 12-team Superflex PPR 1.75 for the tight end start 10. It's Olave, projected mid to late 25 first, a 25 second, or Nabers. You have a lot of Nabers. Would you trade one of your Nabers for this? It's a strong enough package, sir.
If my team is very, very bad and I need to split the baby, sure. But just as a inverse of this, I've offered Garrett Wilson and a late first for Malik Nabers, and Garrett Wilson carries more dynasty value than Chris Olave, at least according to KTC rankings and everyone I've ever met that forgives Garrett Wilson of any crime that he's ever committed in his life. So honestly, just all things being equal, no, I would just hold on to Malik Nabers. I love Chris Olave. I do. I think I said this before in the chat, but I haven't seen breakout from him, right? I haven't seen a breakout. I've seen nice games where he's given me a 20-point week here, 20-point week there, but like, he doesn't consistently break out. And I really do like Chris Olave. I think that's well known, but Malik Nabers, and it's only 3 weeks, but 3 weeks, if you compare them to Justin Jefferson, Puka Nacua, and Jamar Chase through their first 3 weeks, he absolutely ethers all of them. And 2 of those dudes are 2 of the best wide receivers in the league, and one, if he can not be injured, could be. So all that to say, no, I think I'll just hold on to Malik Nabers here unless my roster is particularly funky.
So if you are new to the channel, welcome. You're going to hear us say start 9, start 10 a million times. So what we mean by that is how many you start in your lineup each week, not including kicker and defense. So the whole thing, start 8, start 9, those are shallow to where you want to consolidate pieces to get hammers. When it's deeper, more like start 11, start 12, that's where the ancillary pieces, the Rashee Shaheeds, are like really worth a lot, or the Amari Coopers, what have you. Anyway, you get the idea. That's just so that makes sense. Sizzle got us a hammer. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So this is a 12-team Superflex PPR 1.5 for the tight end start 10. Shane, we'll start with you on this one. So Jordan Love, Goff, Willis at quarterback, Achane, JT, Rashad, Gus Bus, Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, Keenan Allen, Kirk, and then at tight end, Kelsey and Henry. No 25 picks. Does have all the 26s. The trade, Shane, is give Amon-Ra and Gus. You're getting your second back, Shakir and Puka. 12-team Superflex PPR start 10.
What? I mean, if Puka was healthy, we'd have a conversation here. But I think this was a move that maybe someone would have made it after week 1 when they panicked. But ARSB went out there and reasserted his dominance in week 2 and 3. No, I'm not making this deal under pretty much any circumstances.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Give some more color behind that, Shane. Well, how about this? What would you do with this team looking at it? You've got Love, Goff, and Willis, and some lagginess.
Well, Willis and Love are just one quarter. I mean, your team is fine. You don't need to do much of anything. I mean, honestly, I'd probably would have looked to flip AJ Brown 2 weeks ago when he wasn't playing, but hopefully he's closer to playing, so I'm not going to do anything. You've got a legit tight end 1 in Hunter Henry, and then a backup in Kelsey. So there's that. You have no 25 picks, so you can't really make any moves. I mean, maybe that's what they were trying to do. Maybe they're trying to elongate their starting lineup, but this isn't the way I want to do it. So, no.
Yeah, part of what Sizzle said too was try doing deals involving ARSB with the manager, and mentioned this is the same one featured on Ray and Scott's mega trade video. And he's got like a stranglehold on league's picks or something. So Sizzle's asking, take the Puka deal or wait. Were you going to say something, Scott?
Well, I was going to say the one thing Shane's overlooking is Khalil Shakir is technically a top 20 receiver. I don't know if you buy that, but I think the person is probably looking at this like they're counting Khalil Shakir as an actual asset. I have no problem with where this roster is if you can get Puka Nacua and a better asset versus taking the 3-for-1. I know Gus Edwards is in the deal, but I could be 3 for 5. If you get 4 Gus Edwards, it doesn't really count. So, I mean, it's really a 3-for-1, but I think people are probably looking at the second in Shakir. What can I do with that? Now, if you told me I can get a 26 first for the second and Shakir, then I can at least think about doing the deal on a roster like this where I'm getting Puka in a first for Amon-Ra. Like, I think that's where you start turning, but you have to know your league. Can you make the second move? If you can't,
no. You're
getting a type of deal here that sheer value in production, it's probably better than what Shane is saying. But now I still have to go do the work. Because again, Shane, Shakir is wide receiver 20.
Can I tell you something? Just for fun. I was looking something up literally just now, and I messaged Josh in the chat in our DD chat. Khalil Shakir ranks 113th in ADOT among wide receivers with at least 25 routes. 113th, bro. I don't even know if there's 100 wide receivers in the National Football League, so I'm not sure how that's possible. Dude is living off touchdowns right now. I like Shakir, but he's not even like Gabe Davis. At least Gabe Davis, you could understand how he had those spike weeks, right? Because he popped one for 50 and another for 60. No. Shakir, and no one I know thinks Shakir is a top 20 asset at wide receiver.
Summary, we like the deal if you can consolidate the second in Shakir for a stronger asset. Yes. Unless you can do that, I'm just not interested in this type of deal tearing off of Amon-Ra when he's healthy for Puka Nacua when he's not. Regardless of my team, you're bailing somebody out and losing the trade at the same time.
Yeah. You're not even getting the injury tax there. So Bo Nix's name always stands out when I'm streaming with Shane. So Thomas Richards asked, just traded Herbert in London for Puka and Bo Nix. What are your thoughts, Shane? We don't have any format or anything, but let's just assume our usual stock.
I mean,
Herbert in London for Puka and Bo Nix.
So you got a giant upgrade at wide receiver. And though I don't even like Bo Nix, how is Bo Nix worse than Justin Herbert? Justin Herbert is averaging something like 11 points per game. Jim Harbaugh, is it Jim? Is Jim there or John? Whatever Harbaugh is there is an evil piece of shit and has decided that he's going to take one of the best pure throwers in the NFL and instead of letting him pass, hand the ball off to broken J.K. Dobbins and ass cheeks Gus Edwards. It is what it is. He's got a giant contract. He's going to be there forever. If that's what they're doing with a washed up running back room, if they get a legit one, Justin Herbert might not throw 7 times a game. And he's in a walking boot.
Only thing I would say is you could probably find somebody in the chat that would literally take the other side of this trade. It's 2 for 2. It's the same position. It feels like you're just making a bet on who you like and who you think is better. I wouldn't propose this type of deal, nor would I be excited to get this type of deal because it feels like I'm just spinning my wheels. I'm taking the 2 spots that I have and replacing it with 2 other players. And unless I have another deal lined up with one of the guys I'm getting, what's the point? I know you're similar with that, Clay. Like it's a 2 for 2, 100%. Same position. What's
got to be
point,
one. I don't want a bunch more pieces on both sides, but there's got to be one more piece on one side for me to do that. Otherwise, it's too lateral. You have other things you can be doing with your squad. Okay, let's keep going here. Let's go to another hammer from Wolfman 23. Thank you very much. Scott, we'll go with you on this one. So it's a 12-team Superflex PPR start 10. We're assuming it's not a tight end premium. Stroud, Kyler at quarterback, Achane, Ken Walker, Pollard, Zeke at running back, Chase, Marv, Nico, Diggs, Ridley, and then Andrews at tight end. No 25 picks. Here's an inbox trade. Give Achane, Nico, and you're getting Breece and Amari. So here we go. Another one of those 2 for 2, running back, wide receiver. But it's a 12-team Superflex start 10. Scott, are you giving Achane and Nico for Breece and Amari?
Well, first, I want to comment on Zeke listed as an asset. That's almost as bad as Gus Edwards. But like, it's funny. People will put Zeke and then they'll list cans. And he's probably in the group of cans. But regardless,
yes.
I mean, man, I would take Breece over Achane, but like I'm not bending over backwards to make that swap. And then Nico Collins versus Amari Cooper is not even close. So this is an easy give side. I'm not even entertaining this deal. What leverage are you going to give me on the Breece Amari side to even consider? Shane, I almost need a first with Amari, don't you, to get this deal done?
I wouldn't even do a 3rd-2nd swap. But yeah, so he's asking you, Shane, you're giving Achane. Wait, yeah, you're giving Achane and Nico. You're going to need Breece, Amari, and a first.
I mean, I don't know if I could rightfully ask for a first back, but I as it is currently constructed, I have absolutely no motivation to make this deal whatsoever. Now, the other trade that we just talked about, where it was like a 2 for 2 positional swap, I could talk to myself into it. But this there's absolutely no reason to. Like Collins absolutely destroys Amari. Achane, he's not Breece Hall, but he's going to give you spike weeks that are in that realm. So I just don't see the impetus to do this deal.
Well, and there's no 25 picks, but we're downgrading the team probably. So it just feels like a weird offer that maybe it's the Achane versus Breece that people see Breece in a deal and they double. They do a double take on should I do this? But yeah, this deal is a pretty easy decline.
Yeah, because what's the difference between Breece and Achane? Like a second? You shouldn't have to add more than a second and a third.
Production wise, nothing. But I think perception of like the Dolphins are down bad. People do not like Dolphins right now. So I mean, trying to trade a Dolphin and you're just like their team's going to be broken, which I mean it could be broken, but. If I have Achane, I'm not paying a tax to go get Breece or Bijan. You know what I mean? That just feels like I'm paying to fix today when tomorrow what I have could be fixed and what I'm trading for could be broken.
Sure.
Yeah, you get Tyler Huntley back there, right? And he can't. He can throw a little bit better than Skylar Thompson for whatever it's worth. He averages something like 30 more yards per game passing, which
can he function without falling down or getting killed?
I love how you know that, Shane.
No. I know that because I either heard it or I read it. I read it. I absolutely read that. I don't know if it was Dwayne McFarland or someone else, but I absolutely read that. I wouldn't know that. And he's a running quarterback that can actually run, not like run for his life like Skylar Thompson was and not getting away from anyone. Yeah. So that could open up a chain. So yeah, I'm staying with a chain there.
Here's an interesting question. It's I just had it. Yeah. From Cuddy Fever on here earlier when I set up the stream. Do you find trading easier on certain days? Getting a quick response on waiver wire days, for instance, game day itself seems like there's no action in my leagues.
So I send out somewhere in the neighborhood of, I don't know, we'll lowball it, 5 to 10 offers probably a day in my various leagues, in my 35 leagues. So I don't know what the math works out to on that, but not really. Mondays. I made a few trades on Monday. I made a couple trades today. I made one while we were sitting here. I'd say Sundays are probably the hardest. And also I don't like doing that because if you don't make the trade early enough and you have to set your lineup, there's a bad decision. Like this week, I made a trade where I traded for Jamar Chase, but in order to get him in my lineup, I had to sit Devon Achane because when the trade took place, like clearly that's not what I would have wanted to do, but that's when the trade got done. So I'd stay away from Sundays.
Yeah. Any thoughts there, Scott, before we move on? Trading easier on certain days.
I've actually found that Mondays and Tuesdays on Sleeper deals can be had because people are literally reacting to what happened. And, you know, I sold an Andy Dalton yesterday because, well, he had a good game on Sunday and someone was like, oh, I can start him again next week. So now I'll pay the third because he looks like he could probably start the rest of the season if he continues to be average. So like, I think people sometimes will literally react and go, I didn't want to pay it last week or I didn't need it last week, but I'm going to need it now. So I'll go ahead and just buy it. I've gotten a couple deals done on Monday or Tuesday because of that reason. And it's just because people are paying attention to how they did waiver claims. I don't know what it is, but they're more active than they might be on a Thursday or Friday.
And I apparently
you have something to say. Yeah. You had this look on your face. No, what did you just realize?
Just, you know, Scott's, I'm looking at my roster ship of players and my tied for third most rostered quarterback is Andy Dalton. I don't know how that happened. I've got 20%
got some work to do.
Yeah, I've definitely got some work and I've got to be aggressive and start sending out Andy Dalton offers.
So real quick on Andy Dalton, Dio John, is he like, boom, like, let's go. He's hopefully a Godwin again, like right off the bat, he's going to get a bunch of targets. That's what he always does.
Here's my theory that there's so many bad quarterbacks in the league today that actually Andy Dalton looks better relative to the landscape than he did when he actually was a starter like 10 years ago. So, I mean, you almost have to kind of look at it like we know Andy Dalton himself, he's not going to be QB6. Like that's not going to happen. But like the offense looked professional. I mean, one of the things about Bryce Young that was true in his first 2 weeks was everybody consistently said his offensive line is good. They graded out like top 10 and everything. And you're going, but you watch the highlights and you see some of the clips of Bryce Young on Twitter and people go, oh, he has no time. It's like, nobody, his line grades out well. And it's because he's sitting back there and doesn't know what to do. And then gets killed. And then people blame the offensive line. And then all of a sudden Andy Dalton steps in and you're like, oh my gosh, a clean pocket, another clean pocket. He's dropping dimes everywhere. And then you're like, okay, maybe that is the scheme or the system at work. And because he's a veteran, the one thing about him is he's seen every defense you can possibly see. He's played in 200 games. So, I mean, you're not going to trick him. Now, he's Andy Dalton, so he's probably not going to end up being MVP or take the Panthers to the playoffs. He's probably going to have some bad games. But, like, hard to say.
He's like a Flacco coming in.
We've always known Deontay Johnson is good. He can separate. He can draw targets. And now he has somebody competent that can get him the ball for the first time in what, Shane? Has he ever had a good quarterback? Even his Roethlisberger years.
No,
or the shitty years.
Yeah, he was absolutely done by that point. I don't know that he's ever actually had a good quarterback. So
he's a top 24 receiver rest of the way until he inevitably gets hurt, right? Because that probably will happen.
You're a contender and you have an extra second. You throw in a projected mid-late second at Dio John right now. You just want a little something. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a soft spot in my heart for Dio John forever anyway.
Yeah.
So if I can just add one more to him and it's a late first, I'll convince myself, second. Good Lord. I convince myself it's a late second and I got an extra one. I'll skip the process and be like, let's add Dio John, baby.
Let's go. Log, thank you very much for the super chat. Appreciate it. So it's a 12-team Superflex PPR 1.5 for the tight end start 11. So this is fairly deep. You have May, Herbert, J.J. McCarthy, Darnold at quarterback, Ramondre, Achane at running back, Marv, Rome, Ayuk, Pop, Polk, Ladd. And then you have Andrews at tight end. Log has 325 first. And Scott, we'll start with you. I'm 1-2. Any moves? Is this a roster that could compete this year? Move some first and try to tier up or sell some older pieces and punt a year? What do you think here? So 12-team Superflex, small tight end premium, start 11. And that's your team. Do you think it can compete? May, Herbert, and Darnold at quarterback? Start with that.
I mean, when you're looking at you're looking for the quarterback that's good, and you're getting to Sam Darnold, and then you're going, okay, that's pretty much what I have. I mean, you have three
It's the wrong order.
technically starters probably. By the time you need a quarterback, Drake May is probably going to be starting. The most valuable quarterback you have is McCarthy, and he's out for the season. Your RB2 is Ramondre, and we don't list any others. So, I mean, it has a foundation where this team is not the worst because it probably has a pretty good lineup, and you're probably forced to start guys like Jalen Polk, Pop Douglas, Ladd McConkey. Like, when they have good games, you're going to realize them. Like, you probably got, 20 points from Demario Douglas or whatever he scored, 16, 17. Most teams didn't start him, but you were forced to. So all of a sudden you're like, okay, now I have a little more production than what I thought. So the team's probably good enough to not suck, but it's also not winning with that quarterback room. Where's the positional advantage here besides Marvin Harrison? If he's for sure a positional advantage, which he's good, but to say he's just going to be a difference maker is probably tough to count on. So yeah, this team's just not, there's no advantage at any position. So yeah, that I'm not counting on contending. So move on to the next part.
Yeah, that was the part right there. That was the whole trade.
So if there's no contending, there's nothing more to do, basically.
Yeah, it was just like, can this compete or should I punt a year? He said also, should he sell old pieces? I mean, we should always be looking to do that if there's a market for them.
A team like that, everything's available when there's a window. Like next time Ramondre Stevenson has a touchdown in 80 yards, dump him. Any second gets him. Like guys like McConkey or
there was no
Ayuk,
assets there.
like those guys can go too. Like you can strip that thing down to Marv, Achane, couple quarterbacks, picks. There you go.
You're going to need Ayuk to score more than 10 fantasy points at some point to move him. But yeah.
We've got 712 eyeballs watching right now, 22 minutes in. Very cool. Hit that like if you'd be so kind. Easiest way to help out the channel. And let's keep moving on to AJ. AJ was the first comment when I set up the stream. So he's definitely making the screen. So this is a 1 QB start 8, no tight end premium. So ultra shallow. Shane, AJ has Hurts or Daniels. So let's go. He's got Hurts and Daniels. Breece, Bijan, Chase, Nabers,
1 QB.
Higgins, Adunze. Yeah.
Good luck with this roster, Shane.
Coleman, the rest are cans. The guy who has Marv, Nico, and Wilson is 0-3. And AJ's got 425 first to work with. Who do you target and how do you approach a trade? I have all my future picks. My first and 25 are projected. Let's see, one of them early, 2 mid, 1 late. But it's early in the year. So how are you? This is an ultra shallow format, Shane. You can have my first, right? You will attach it to tier up wherever possible. It's something that's shallow.
I just sent 3. I mean, do I even need to add anything to this roster? Scott likes to talk about this. I've got 2 of the top 4 running backs. Wide receivers, I have the wide receiver 6, the wide receiver 4. Sure, maybe I could use another wide receiver. Sure. Yeah. Can I add, I don't know, a first to Higgins and tier up? And how do I do it? Well, I'm just going to the bottom feeders and seeing what they have that I can poach from them because that's the natural ecosystem. That's the circle of life. They suck. I take their best players. I give them draft picks. Hopefully they get better someday. If not, whatever. I don't really care. Screw them. So
yeah, this guy has Marv, Nico, and Wilson, and he's 0-3. So that's why AJ's targeting him.
Sure.
So
go after him and see what it takes to get Marv or Nico. Preferably Marv. I don't care about Garrett Wilson because Garrett Wilson, I quite frankly don't know that I would start over Rome Odunze at this point. But maybe that's just me.
All right. You paying for a tight end here, Shane, given that we don't have one? We're streaming, or there's just not enough to even want to buy?
There's no tight end premium. And who is the tight end one right now?
I mean, the only tight ends you probably would consider buying for the production would be Bowers.
Okay. Yeah.
What about stacking Goddard? If you're not gonna if you're gonna be streaming, might as well maybe have Goddard with Hurts.
I mean, I'd consider moving like I'd move like a Keon Coleman for Goddard if you wanted to stack. Like it'd have to be a deal like that, but like I'm not involving first for
No.
any tight ends except for I get to handpick the ones I want. And other than that, I'm not interested. Like this isn't a team where like it used to be, can you go get Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Mark Andrews? Like streaming is beating those guys. So you might as well just continue with what you're doing until you find one that's available.
If I could get a Kittle low, you know what I mean? I'll grab Kittle and throw him on my roster and wait for the expected bounce back that I assume will occur at some point.
Shane, talk about that real quick. I think that's another point with when you don't have a tight end, are you willing to go after the guys that historically like Goddard or Kittle where they'll have 3 shitty games in a row, but when they hit, it's like 8 for 90 and a touchdown. You know what I mean? Versus, do you ever see Travis Kelce hitting 8 for 90 the way he moves? Like, probably not.
No, unfortunately.
He runs like me, with a cigarette in my mouth. So it's not great. It's not great. And an iced coffee in one hand. So it's like, I can't spill this. I can't spill it. So I can't move too much.
Liam, make a reel out of that when you watch this. All right. Thank you. Go ahead, Shade.
No, I can't imagine it. Now I'd prefer Kittle. Like Kittle's like my perfect, like, okay, I can live with your donuts because you're going to give me monster weeks. Goddard, outside of what he just did on Sunday, is generally not a guy that gives you those monster spike weeks. No. So it's like a very limited subset of tight ends that I'd even want to add to this. David Njoku, if he ever walks again, probably grab him too.
Do you think Goddard's a better bet given that both his receivers have been banged up already? Like, do you think you can kind of just, bet that if one of them's not there, he has spike week potential?
Yeah.
And you have the stack. You have Hurts.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there is that. Like Devonta Smith, I'm assuming, is going to miss at least one game, right, from the concussion, because I think that's just pretty much rote now. And AJ Brown, I don't know. I don't know when he's coming back. So under those circumstances, yes, because you're going to probably get a smash spot out of him for the next couple weeks because their wide receiver room is Jahan Dotson, Johnny Wilson, Paris Campbell, and they just re-signed John Ross to the practice squad, who they will definitely be elevating if AJ and Devonta can't go. You can't throw to those wide receivers. That is disgusting. So you're going to have to target Goddard another 15 times, and obviously he's not going to be as efficient as he was on Sunday, but will it matter? I'll go 15 for 80. Fine, sure. So
what a day, man. He was a beast out there. It was fun watching him. He was pumped up. Okay, beautiful. Pistol Pete got us a hammer. Thank you very much, Scott. This is a 12-team Superflex PPR. Looks like it's only an extra 0.25 for the tight ends. Start 11. Quarterbacks are Burrow, Herbert, May. Wide receivers, Nabers, Nico, MPJ, Addison, and Downs. Running back and tight ends are Cans and Bins. Picks as own plus an extra, it looks like 425 first. Is that what I'm reading here? Yeah, so his own 25 first and also 4 additionals, and has 5 future seconds and more than 10 future thirds. The trade is send Nico and a 25 second and a 25 third for T. Higgins, a late 25 first and a 26 first. Would be sending to a borderline super team. League values picks relatively low. So let me clean this up, Scott. 12-team Superflex PPR start 11, no real tight end premium. Are you giving Nico a 25 second and third for T, a late 25 first and a 26 first?
Man, if you don't tell me anything else that it's a start 11 and I'm getting 2 firsts and Higgins for Nico Collins, I mean, I think with a roster in this shape, you are giving back the second and the third, so that's a savvy ask by the Nico buyer to get those 2 pieces back, because that's not nothing. That's 2 pieces they can at least fill in the gaps with something. I think with where this roster is, you've already leaned into it. I have no problem taking the 2 extra firsts and T. Higgins because can I flip T. Higgins? I probably can't flip Michael Pittman at this point. Jordan Addison, probably not at this point. But I think I have a shell of a roster that I can still maneuver around, and I have 2 extra firsts to play with. I think I'm doing it. Because this team's probably more than a year out. Like, it has 0 running backs. It has 0 at tight end. I mean, you have 3 good receivers. I mean, I think I'm doing it.
You have to do
start
it.
11. If it's a start 9, probably no, but start 11. Like, you got to take that, I think.
It's going to have 625 first to play with.
That's
and then, extra.
Well, see, I'm curious. He says his own 25, but then he mentions 4 future firsts. And he's getting a 26 back. So I do wonder if maybe those 4 futures are a mix of 25s and 26s.
Yeah, or 26s. Yeah, it might be 225 first and then 4 26s. But yeah, with this
Shane, you doing it regardless? You taking the 2 firsts and Higgins for Nico? You don't want to.
We have 86
start
first
11
already. And it's start 11.
We have 5.
Yeah, definitely the T side. Even though,
yeah, you have to. I don't want to because T Higgins looked good last night, so that's going to be fun until he sprains his ankle again as usual. But
the thing with T is that he probably has not hit the point where nobody will want him. That's still going to happen, whether he's good or not. There's going to be a window, just like there's a window with anybody that's in the news.
Yeah.
So he's a guy I don't mind getting back in a deal like this because it's not like I'm getting, like if I'm getting like Michael Pittman back in this deal, like he's parked on the Colts and the situation he's in is probably going to be what it is for the next 3 years. Like it's hard for me to sell somebody else that in the offseason, Michael Pittman is worth more than he is today. I think you could sell somebody. T Higgins is able to be moved in the offseason versus another non-flexible piece. So I think he's not a nothing in the deal, even if he's not helping you right this second.
No, I mean, when he goes to the Jags next year, like we were talking about this year, well, then he won't do well because he'll have Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback, so no one will want him then. But anyway.
Ooh, shots fired. Rightfully. Let's go to, Shane, how do you say this name?
Dylan Ebensteiner.
I think last time you said Deloney. I believe you called him Deloney. Deloney Bensteiner.
Well, that's before I realized that he was Canadian or Colombian, whichever this might be. I don't know.
This is Canada. 1 of 2. Thank you, Deloney. 12-team Superflex, start 11. It looks like it's a half PPR, full PPR for the tight ends. Lamar, A-Rich, Caleb at quarterback, Gibbs, Brooks, Kendre, Zamir at running back, Garrett Wilson, Nabers, Smitty, and J-Mo at wide receiver, Bowers, Kincaid, and Likely at tight end. All future picks. I'm 2-1 with the 5th highest points for. What moves to make? Okay, so who did I say was starting? Let's start with Shane. 12-team Superflex, start 11, half PPR, small tight end premium. This is what your team's looking at. What are you doing with it? Bowers, Kincaid, and Likely are on the next page. Lamar, A-Rich, and Caleb. I mean, you don't need to do anything there. If anything,
you really don't. I mean, the problem is like I'd like to sell A-Rich or Caleb, right? But now's not the time to do it. If you really want to get
Lamar, Shane.
That's what I was going to say. You really want to
gamble on the guys nobody else will buy.
Be a big boy. Put on your big boy pants or big girl pants or big boy skirts or whatever. Move Lamar for, obviously, I don't need a good quarterback back. I take like a Daniel Jones and a stud wide receiver. Like it's got to be high-end wide receiver. We're talking like CeeDee Lamb, JJ, Jamar Chase. Can't be Nabers because you already have him, right? Yeah. So like someone in that realm of the world, I actually would look at doing that. And yeah, because I'm not concerned about Caleb and A-Rich. I think will be okay. So that's probably a move I'd look to make.
Would you, given you have the 3 quarterbacks, it almost feels like when you're the person with the 3 QBs, you have to send the offers.
Yeah.
As soon as you say a quarterback on the block, you're getting garbage. You know what I mean? Yeah. People look at your team and go, here, I'll try to get Lamar for Jordan Addison in 2 seconds. You know, you need to be the market setter and see what other people respond versus putting a quarterback on the, I mean, have you guys ever seen when an elite quarterback goes on the block and people actually give like legit offers, or it's just bullshit offers?
It tends to be trash either way.
Yeah, it tends not to be particularly good offers. I will say that. That's why I don't even, honestly, I rarely, if ever, even put a quarterback on the trade block because I just know that the offer is not going to be great.
Yeah, those are behind the scenes conversations when you're talking QBs in a super flex, right? Okay. Let's keep moving. Thank you very much, Dylan Ebenister, which I just jacked up and not making fun of your name. Thank you very much for the super chat. Okay, Shane, we have a good one here. Irish Exit is back. Two hammers. And it says, question for Shane. And thank you very much, Irish Exit. Good to see you. What would your make-a-wish moment be?
Am I dying?
I mean, I think that's what a make-a-wish moment is. So what would your final wish be, Shane?
Holy shit, he's stumped.
He's stumped.
I don't know. I really don't know.
It would involve Dunkin' Donuts, wouldn't it? Of some sort.
Cremate me and put me in the in that day's batch of coffee. Nah, I don't know.
Would it involve the Eagles in some form or fashion?
Because I've talked about this before, right? Like, I love sports. I do not care about football players. Like, I don't want to talk to them and meet them. You know what I mean? Like, people are like, oh, I met so-and-so. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I could care less. I never want to meet a football player. Fuck them guys. I'm fine just playing fantasy football. Like, I don't mean it like in a mean way, but like, I don't get off on them like, hey, I met so-and-so. Yeah, you know what? It'd be I get to sing on stage with Tom York. There you go.
Nice. There you go.
There you go.
You got anything in mind, Scott?
No, that's actually a pretty deep question that it's tough to answer.
That Irish exit, yeah.
I'm thinking of like sports, but at the same time, like I would love to see like one of my teams win a championship, but like it kind of feels like that life is bigger than that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, great, they won a title. Like, I don't know. It's tough to answer.
Talking about something deep here, yeah.
But to be completely honest, like, it's a make-a-wish situation. So you've probably already had the conversation of like, you know, this is where you're at. You know what I mean? It's hard to answer. It's a hard question to answer. It really is. It's a good question. Thank you for the two hammers, but I think you kind of caught us off guard with it.
Yeah. We might have to revisit that one. It got it was a little emotional there. If we could have had background music.
Super existential.
Yeah.
I'm not good at that. I'm not great at the big picture questions like that. But yes, I don't know. I'm singing with Tom York, Radiohead. In case anyone didn't know who Tom York is.
No, that's awesome. All right, thank you for those hammers, Irish Exit. We'll get them next time. So John Eggs, thank you for yours. This is a 12-team Superflex start 9 half PPR. You're 0-3 and tanking on purpose. May Penix at quarterback, Chase, Nico, London, Rome, Brian Thomas, Dio John at wide receiver, Benson, Chuba Hubbard, Dowdle at running back, Pat Freiermuth. Picks wise, you have 325 first, 4 seconds. In 26, you have 5 firsts and a few seconds as well. The trade is give Chase, get Waddle, and 2 mid to late 25 firsts. And that's the whole question here. So 12-team Superflex start 9 half PPR, you're tanking. Are you giving Chase to get Waddle and a couple 25 firsts? Call them mid late.
Why does it feel like process says this is not a bad deal for where the team is? I also look at this roster and say it's not that far off. You know what I mean? It has the foundation. It's got enough that you could not draft a receiver and you will be very good next year and you'll still be ready to rock if you can fill in the other spots. This feels like one of those deals that on paper it looks great. It feels like you're buying low on Waddle. It feels like you're getting 2 extra firsts. And then next year we go into the offseason and I am desperately trying to upgrade anything because I have the 107, 9, 11, and the 12 and the 10. Like all my picks but my own are the late ones. And I'm doing everything I can. Who wants to add a first to Rome Odunze to give me a super stud? Like, and nobody will play ball with any of the moves because the one deal that happened was the one where you went the other way, and now you're stuck with the stuff you have. I don't know, Shane. Feels like this is the kind of move that you think is perfect for your team today. and in 6 months you're desperately trying to do the opposite, and this person beats you to the market and realized you're the sucker in a half PPR. You took the non-difference making receiver and the late first, and now I'm not trading anything better to you. Go make those picks.
That's why I do the Waddle side, though, because half PPR, that makes it more attractive for me, if anything. I don't know.
The scoring differential is still going to be what the scoring differential is, though, even if it was not non-PPR. Oh, my God. I don't know what.
Yeah, but you're getting a couple 25 first.
I guess the question in a half PPR, does that make it more appealing to you, Clay, to stack every first because of the running back class?
That would does. Whether it should or not, that's how I look at them.
Okay.
That's how I look at 25 first. There's always a little bit of a RB lens to those.
Okay.
I think that's a fair answer to, you would have now, 5 25 firsts in a class where there could be 3 or 4 hammer running backs. Even if they're not hammers, other people are going to think they are, and you hold the picks, and you'd still have Nico, London, Rome, BTJ, and Jalen Waddle. So it's not like your receivers are nothing burgers. You could literally draft 5 running backs, and if they hit, now your team's in really good shape. So I can kind of
I've got 3 running backs that I'm adding in the 2025 draft already.
Correct.
Right. Oh wait, he already has 5 firsts.
Yeah, he's already got 5
first.
and 26.
Oh, I'm sorry, in 2026.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I already have 3 running backs. Like, yes, would I like to be like a Pokemon and have them all? Sure, catch them all, whatever the saying is. I don't know, but 3 would be fine. Like, I think I could live with, like, if I have Quinshon Judkins, Genty, and Nicholas Singleton. I think I'd be okay with that.
Does it change here, Shane, that you also may need to address quarterback a little bit too?
You definitely do. I was about to say the same thing. You need capital for quarterbacks, or to be able to draft or buy.
Like, you're not just ripping 5 running backs, probably. Like, you would probably strategically try to use those picks to take a couple running backs and then maybe a quarterback, and then maybe trade. Like it gives you more flexibility, that's for sure. And it's not like Waddle is a nothing. He's just potentially a nothing for the time where this manager that's trading him probably looks at him like, I can't afford to wait 6 more weeks for Jalen Waddle to be startable. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one. At least, once again, you're trading a stud. At least you're getting good stuff in return. There's not a bunch of junk. Not getting a bunch of trash for Jamar Chase.
Nope.
So thank you for that, Hammer John Eggs. Appreciate you. So let's go to a super chat here. Scroll down from James Ashby. Thank you very much. $20. Let's start with you, Shane. This is a 12-team Superflex PPR start 10. Anthony Richardson, Love, Trevor Lawrence, Penix at quarterback, Bijan, Gibbs, Najee, and Bums. Then at wide receiver, you have Marv, Olave, DK, Ridley. Has all picks plus an extra second and third and 25. The question is, trade a 25 and 26 first for Rashee Rice. 12-team Superflex start 10. You doing that? You giving a 25 and 26 first for Rashee Rice right now?
Who's the wide receiver 3 in fantasy football right now? Points per game.
Who is it, Shane?
I don't know. It might be Rice, though. He's up there. 25 and 26. Yeah, I'd be more reticent to do this if they were both 25 picks, but 25 and a 26. Yeah. Look, I'm all in on Rice at this point. So, yeah, I'm fine with this. I don't know how the world's going to feel about this. Can I do Olave in a 26 first instead? Or is that less? Do you think that's more than a 25 and a 26 first in your brain? Which would you rather give up?
I'd rather keep Olave.
Yeah. Now we talked through it. Yeah, I do the 25 and the 26. I'm good with this.
Rice is the wide receiver 3. Guess who the wide receiver 5 is, Shane, on the season?
It's not out.
It's going to be some gross name.
It's Juwan Jennings.
No, yeah, it doesn't count. One game does not count.
Scored a million.
If you're going to cite points per game, you have to count the guy that scored 90% of his points in one game.
Yeah. So let's say you do that, Shane. You trade your 25 and 26 first. You have Rashee Rice on this team. All right. What are you doing next? Are you done?
Well, yeah, because
you're never done.
I literally have no other assets, but I might just see what I can get for Bijan out there. Like,
I mean, you have Richardson, Love, T-Law, Michael Penix. That feels like a spot you can move from. I don't know what you can get, but it feels like you can get something for one of those.
There's probably people that are still into that type of thing. Trevor Lawrence. I don't know them, and I'm not friends with them, but yeah, there's probably people you could move Trevor Lawrence to, but I don't want to move Love. I'm not moving AR.
Like a fetish.
I mean, it basically is at this point, right?
We're into that sort of
into that kind of thing, and then you don't want to move, and you don't want to move any Love, Shane.
No, hold on to Love. You still got other moves you can make. Namely, I'm looking at the running back room and going, do I need this much equity in it? Being I have Bijan and Gibbs. Najee is in a sling still, and the bums are bums, but still in all, I think I could tear down from Bijan and still end up with another high-end asset and a running back.
Doesn't it feel like Michael Penix gets more valuable as all the other quarterbacks suck?
Yeah, I mean, is he worth a late 25 first right now, Scott? If you have an extra first, you just go.
I'd rather have the first because it's a first. But I think my only point was you've seen so many quarterbacks that you thought should be valued as X, and then they don't perform, and then you're going, "Hi, you know what? The Michael Penix I have feels even better because it doesn't smell. You know, you don't have to put deodorant on it to make it seem like it smells better than it does. So I think he's just a winner because he hasn't failed."
That's how Trey Lance was at first.
Oh, right? Trey Lance. I remember that name.
Remember those days. But hey, look at Malik Willis. Good for him, man. It's totally shocking, honestly. Yeah, I drafted him. Remember pre NFL draft with the OG league. I took him 101 and Breece all 102. Maybe Malik is gonna come back. I probably still.
Honestly, has Malik Willis had 2 better fantasy games than? At least he's had one game close to as good as Trevor Lawrence has ever had.
Man,
good coaching.
Now the funny thing is, not a lot of people started Malik Willis even in his second week. So like you can take victory laps about how you had him for those 2 games and got 0 out of him. And now there's 0 trade value because Love is going to be back. So, I mean, cool. The confirmation is you now have a backup quarterback that you can probably start if he's starting, but who knows if he ever will again.
Free agent in 2 more years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, there you go. Someone offered me him for a 4th before he started, and I immediately rejected it and threw my phone out.
Who did you start over him?
I don't remember, but it worked out fine the first week. Last week he was good.
Okay, I just flipped off the supers. Thanks for everyone who donated them. We've got a few more in the hopper, and we'll eventually have to stop streaming today. We've got 917 people watching. Hopefully we can breach that 1,000 mark. Okay, let's go to a super chat from Jerry. Thank you very much, Scott. This is a 12-team Superflex PPR start 10. Let's see. 1-2 record, first in points. Lamar, Stafford, and then at running back, Bijan, Kyron, Jordan Mason, Mostert, Wright. Wide receivers are Jamar Chase, Kupp, Debo, T, Devontae, and then Andrews at tight end. No 25 firsts, only 1 second and 2 thirds. And then in 26, just as a third. What do I do, boys? Asked Jerry. Shane, wake up. No, I'm kidding. Scott, what are you doing here? 12-team start 10.
So maybe my eyes are failing me. Is that a trash can emoji after Andrews?
That's a trash can.
That should go before Andrews.
It should go before Andrews.
Actually, Andrews should just go in the trash can.
I think it is purposely after Andrews for that reason. And maybe it means he just cans after Andrews, but
that's what it is. Cans after Andrews. But I like the way you're thinking.
Yeah, I have to compliment Jerry on just the way that he put this through. I mean, the use of the abbreviation to shorten Debo. And tough, you have to take the I out of Bijan to shorten it, but then write out an extra letter on Pearsall.
It was a tough read.
It's funny how, it's just funny. And Cooper Kupp with a C, and I love that one. Anyway, 1-2 first in points. I mean, I would guess that the first in points largely has been carried by a couple of the players. I'm also guessing this is a team that probably was forced to start Jawan Jennings this week. Yeah. Because Kupp is out. Debo is out. Mostert is out. I mean,
Bingo.
you're probably starting Jawan Jennings. You've had Lamar. Lamar has scored a ton of points. Kyron Williams has scored a ton of points. Jordan Mason has scored a ton of points. Like, I can see why this team has high points, but has probably just not gotten lucky in a couple weeks and has a 1-2 record. I mean, no first. You're not tanking. You're not selling Cooper Kupp or Debo Samuel for anything. I mean, it feels like you kind of just got to hope they come back, and you're Kyron, Bijan, Mason, Lamar.
You're hoping that Bijan and Kyron are still running at that point, especially Kyron. You're just hoping.
I'm curious,
Kyron
Shane, on a team like this where you've already dealt your first, how hard of a pill is it to swallow to turn around and then start trying to sell Kyron Williams, Jordan Mason, or is it just no?
No. You know I'm petty. I am spiteful, and I don't want that person that has my first.
This team is getting 6th place if you have to fight your ass off for it, right?
Absolutely. I got a 26 first. No.
You do not.
No, geez. I don't even have that. You know what? I got a 26 second. What holes can I fill with that? I don't care. You're not that.
We're being petty for 2 years.
Come hell or high water. I am trying to spoil that pick as much as I can.
So let's just stick with another Jerry question. Thanks for the super sticker here. He says, we buying low on Pitman? And then he's looking for a price check. Love you guys. Thank you, Jerry. Scott.
I got some stats on Pitman. He's got 27% target share. He has almost double the targets of everybody else. Now, the problem is that is on a average of 24 pass attempts a game. So immediately the 27% sounds great until you realize it's 27% of a 5-inch pizza. And you're like, well, that's not even a snack, you know? So it's kind of like, there's that. There's the Richardson is, what was it? He was 28th in the league in drop back efficiency. So when he's passing, it's not of high quality.
He's not the worst.
Not the worst, but I mean, the names that were below him, you're going, okay, it's not many great names below him. I saw, what was the tweet chain? The Colts have run 26 less plays per game than their opponents. So it's just like, there's no play volume.
Yeah.
Their non-obvious passing situation, pass rate is like bottom 3 in the league. So it's low volume, low efficiency, not aggressive. And I think the worst part about this is that they have Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, A.D. Mitchell, all on cheap rookie contracts, and none of those guys are shitty. It's like, where in the world does Michael Pittman ever become a guy where he's Jacoby, he's a fancy Jacoby Myers is basically what he is. I mean, maybe I'm a little too pessimistic, Shane, but
I guess.
Is there ever a reason? Well, in the other funny thing is if you look at Michael Pittman's Trinity, the guys that are getting the plays that could turn into big play touchdowns are not Michael Pittman. It's all the other guys. So like, where is the ceiling? Like, what is it? I'd love to say buy low because I know he's a good receiver that can command 25% of the targets. We already have seen that.
Yes.
But what is the path to where you're like, he is ever more than wide receiver 25 to 40?
I mean, all he needs is for Anthony Richardson to
everything to change.
To completely change, just completely turn around his performance. Yeah, that should be easy enough, right?
Yeah, I believe he has what is it? Is it 10 catches on 20 targets or something like that? And that's like the highest on the team. A.D. Mitchell is two catches on 10 targets. So I mean, the targets they're getting are not great either.
There is this, right? I believe in Shane Steichen as a play caller, as a quarterback developer, and I believe in Anthony Richardson's abilities. I just don't know if it's going to be this year. So if it's not going to be this year, do I really need to buy Pittman now? Like, I could just wait several more weeks and then buy him.
Here's the path to want some Pittman in your portfolio right here. That guy gets in and all of them eat.
That's what I said. Yeah,
it's like all of a sudden they're throwing it 44 times a game and Pittman's getting 12 targets and he's catching 10 of them. Like that
path is Flacco.
That I said this before the season. if you're going to fade Anthony Richardson, it's not a bad idea to have some of the receivers in your portfolio, right? Because like you're betting partially that he's not going to make it. So the inverse would be, okay, Flacco gets in, and now my Josh Downs and Michael Pittman are like, hell yeah, I can start those guys.
Yeah.
Yep. Lorenzo, thank you for the super chat. Shane, we'll start with you on this one. 12-team Superflex, start 10, half PPR. Burrow, Kyler, Baker at quarterback. CMC, Mason, CMC and Mason at running back. Tyreek, Jamar Chase, Marv, Olave, Ayuk, and Shakir at wide receiver. Pitts at tight end. The question is, trade away Kyler, Marv, Baker, 226 first. It's already too much. Okay, but you're trading Kyler, Marv, Baker, 226 first for AJ Brown, Hurts, Achane, DeWatt, Amari Cooper, and an early 25. It's gonna be so.
It.
That's it. We're gonna have to work through this.
No, we don't. Kyler.
What does everybody want here, y'all?
Is it Kyler and Marv or AJ Brown and Hurts, Shane? I know it's Kyler Marv for you, right?
It's Kyler and Marv, yes.
Yes. Could we wash those out of the deal just for the sake of like simplifying it, right?
Yeah, and then it's Baker and 226 firsts for Achane, Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper in the early 25 first. So you're getting a lot of stuff on the back end. Achane in the 25 first, I like a lot. I'll take that over Baker and probably the 26 first. But the Marvin Kyler side of it, look, I'm getting a 6-year age discount on AJ Brown, who I do love, but it's a 6-year age discount.
I think that if you said I'm taking Watson and Cooper over Baker Mayfield, you could be fine with that. It's gross, but I mean, you could be fine because you're getting Cooper for free essentially, and you're not probably reselling any of those players for premiums. And then I would take Achane in the early 25 over 226 very easily.
Yes.
So I think here you are capitalizing on the sentiment out there that Marv Kyler is absolutely superior to Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. And I don't hate it. I actually do not hate it. Getting Achane in the early first, like I actually think the value's on the AJ Brown Hurts side. If those guys come back, I mean, I think the value's there.
Yeah, I'm taking Kyler and Marv.
I would take the package because I want that 25 first, as long as it's an active league, which clearly it is if you're doing roster swaps like
19 player trades. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Alyssa. How are you doing? It says same league. Oh, there's another question here then.
No, I don't know where that is. I didn't start that.
Nice. No. Okay, that's fine. We'll get rid of this for now.
Well, no, let's just generic. Let's go 12 by 10 Superflex. I think Alyssa plays in a shallower one, but 12 by 10 Superflex. Herbert in a first or Caleb?
Would you trade Herbert and a late first or Caleb?
Oh, that's where it is. I did start.
You did?
Yeah.
It just isn't in the order.
Oh, no, the same league, that part. Yeah, I don't know where that is. So we'll just go to, would you trade Herbert and a projected later first for Caleb? Yes, absolutely I would.
Yeah.
In most circumstances.
It feels like the asset that has a chance to move is the one you're getting. So yeah, I'd be fine doing that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's keep going to Lost Kings. Thank you for the super chat. I'm trying to see what that avatar is. So this is Scott 10-team Superflex, start 12. Brissett, Willis, Lance at quarterback. Tracy, Foreman, Hill, Shipley at running back. Trash cans at wide.
I love how we list those four and then cans.
This is so hard. This is so hard to read.
We list Deontay Foreman and Justice Hill, but then we put cans.
Nabers, Brandon Cooks, Lazard, Leggett, and Alec Pierce at wide receiver. Well, trash cans after him. Bowers at tight ends. All picks. 425 first, a 25 second, third. He's got a 26, 27 first. Where do I go now? Okay, let me clean this up. 10-team Superflex, start 12. Basically has trash at quarterback, like ultra trash. Trash at running back. His assets are Nabers, Bowers. End of list. and 425 first. What are you doing here, Scott?
Well, it's a 10 by 12. You literally have two out. You could have listed Nabers, Bowers, Cans. That's the roster. And then the picks. I think in a team like this team is years away. And I hate to say years away because Dynasty is moving so quickly that I've honestly seen teams that I would say 2 years away and they're competing within 6 to 9 months, like the next year, because there's always going to be points available. There's always going to be people willing to sell to try to play for the next year. So there's always, I think, an easier way to build a team up, but you have to have a foundation. This team doesn't even have a foundation. Here's what I would say. You got to consider splitting Bowers or Nabers, but it has to be a very intentional type of trade. It's got to be another piece that I can move. So maybe it's like, this is the type of team, Shane, that would do the Olave and 2 firsts. The Olave and first and another first for a second, Nabers, insert another piece. Like, this is the team that you would want to do it. I do like getting a lot of the later picks. Like, it may seem like a mundane trade now, but if you have a team like this, you need to be rostering guys like Eric All, Zape, like guys that have some semblance of upside to where you could go, okay, I can flip that guy for a second. But players like Deontay Foreman, Justice Hill, Alan Lazard, Brandon Cooks, I mean, truthfully, if I can't get anything for those guys, I'm cutting them.
In your roster.
Well, this team's so far gone, the points don't.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm cutting them for like younger players. You know what I mean? Like, I would have wanted to have a roster spot open for like Carson Steele versus having Alan Lazard. So like, you almost have to scour the waiver wire and go, is there another, is Javon Baker laying out there? Someone like that, like Trey Tucker. You know what I mean? Like, you need to grind every spot, and you may not think like one of these players turning into something means anything, but it could if it turns a guy that's worth a third into a second and then 2 seconds into a late first. Like, you don't waste roster spots. The power you have here is extreme flexibility, but that's probably a long rebuild. That's a couple years, most likely.
Yeah, definitely do another one. Let's go to this super chat from Arya Danny. That's close enough, I'm sure. Sorry for butchering your name. Shane, start with you here. This is what's up?
It's
Arya?
Game of Thrones. It's Game of Thrones.
Oh.
Arya Stark.
Danny is
Khaleesi.
The blonde one, right?
Yeah, that roasts King's Landing.
I've never seen it, Shane. You're spoiling it.
Spoiled it. 9 years after the fact. Damn it.
All right. Thank you, Arya, for the super chat. Shane, 12-team Superflex, PPR 1.5 for the tight end, start 10. It's a 6-point per passing touchdown. QB is looking pretty good. Josh Allen, Caleb, Deshaun Watson. Not horrible. Monty, Mason, Pollard, Charbonnet, Spears at running back. Marv, Nabers, Puka, Devontae Smith, Higgins, and JMO. And then Kincaid at tight end. 3-0, looking for moves. What are you doing? That's the whole thing, Shane. 12-team Superflex, start 10.
Real quick, Shane, does it seem like we get a lot of people that have Nabers and Marv on the same team?
Yeah, and how?
I think because they just leaned in. They did what they could to get him, and it looks like the smart move.
They said, I don't know which quarterback it's going to be, although he's got Caleb too. So this guy just had, or she, them had the entire first 4 picks because they got, anywho.
Yeah, just smash draft on them. Yeah.
Look, no team is ever perfect, right? I guess, and you could use running back, I guess, but I like the running back room. Monty, Mason, Pollard, Charbs.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, Marvin Harrison, Nabers, Puka, Devonta Smith, Higgins. Sure, if you want to split hairs, I guess we could go ahead and see if we can move Puka and something for another monster at wide receiver. I don't know that you could get it done, but it's worth a try. And then you'd still have Higgins and JMO. I mean, there's not a lot of moves you have to make here. You could. Like you drafted Caleb for a reason, so I'm not upgrading from Caleb. I'm not adding to him to get anything really. So I guess your wide receiver 3 in lieu of Puka while he's out. That's the one area that I look at and I'm like, sure, could I could I tier up? Also, you could look to move JMO for a 25 first or Higgins for a 25 first. Maybe not both, but at least one of them and go from there.
Yep. Okay. Let me ask you guys this. So Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Malik Nabers, and Marv, do they cost the same thing as far as you're concerned if you're selling them in Dynasty? Are they practically the same thing?
I mean, I think Jefferson's more expensive than the others. I think it sways week to week, but I do think one interesting thing is it feels like they are less attainable now because they've moved up relative to even Bijan, Breece, Gibbs. Like those guys are good, but they're not breaking the league like other running backs like Saquon. You know what I mean? Like if one of those guys was putting up Saquon's numbers, then people would go, I can't move Bijan.
Mm-hmm.
But it just feels like the receivers have kind of held to that point where now, like if you have 6 months ago, if I said, I'm going to give you Anthony Richardson for, Malik Nabers, you would have gone, oh, I want Richardson. You know what I mean? Like I want the QB now. Like if you're trying to get one of those guys with like, go try to get Jamar Chase with like Caleb Williams. Like, you know what I mean? Like someone's probably just not interested in the quarterback because they're able to patchwork the quarterbacks cheaper and they're not giving up their elite assets at receiver. So it feels like they're harder to get now, but that's just because the other positions where the elite players were have kind of flattened off. And Lamb. You didn't even mention CD, but he's right there.
No, I didn't mention him. Yeah. There's, I guess.
Although apparently he's fighting with his teammates or whatever it is.
No, I mean, he should be because they're ass and he's not being hyper targeted.
I love it. Go Commanders, baby. Let's go. Yeah. Oh, let me ask you this. Does Jaden Daniels have the juice to get up as high as you want to right now?
Jaden Daniels.
Shane was flirting with Jalen Hurts for Jaden Daniels.
Love Jaden Daniels.
I did pull off one Jaden Daniels where I gave up CJ Stroud, but I was rejected on another. CJ Stroud straight up from the KTC. I don't know why I air quoted that. I didn't mean to air quote that part. The KTC QB3 in Dynasty. Absolutely.
Not even a top 12 QB thus far in fantasy, Shane. It's almost exactly like you said all year that he probably has an elite fantasy ceiling.
I like Stroud. I liked him a lot better at like QB7 through QB 9, 10. Fine, but just not at QB3 prices. So yeah, Daniels has the juice for that. I also got rejected straight up for Jalen Hurts in either 1 or 2 leagues. I offered it just for science purposes. I said this jokingly, but I'm dead serious. If I had Josh Allen on any of my rosters, I don't for some reason. If I had him, I would 100% offer him straight up for Jaden Daniels just to see what would happen.
You cray. Josh Allen, whoever's getting Josh Allen's smash, or the person sending the trade is on heroin.
I know someone that was offered Patrick Mahomes for Jaden Daniels, and he turned it down. And now I agree with that personally because Patrick Mahomes hasn't been super elite, but just saying, Charlie, matter of fact, he turned down Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. Although it's kind of annoying because he doesn't reject the trade. He just comments, pass. Bitch, rejected. Like, I don't understand. Like, that's not how that works. You hit reject. Anyway, sorry.
The second biggest quarterback mover on KTC, guess who it is?
Up or down?
In the last 2 weeks. Up.
Sam Darnold.
Is it Jaden Daniels?
Nope. Well, there's a couple that have come from like the way, way bottom, like Sam Darnold, Derek Carr. Yeah. They've moved a lot since the start of the season. But like Drake May, he's moved up because T-Law and Jared Goff have fallen. So it's just like those guys are worse because Drake May hasn't played, so we like him better. It's interesting how quickly the community will turn on guys they liked but didn't love, and then they're not playing well. It's like, oh, we have to move Goff and Trevor Lawrence down and Drake May up, even though he's never played except for one drive.
Are you selling Shane in our usual 12-team Superflex start 10? You're selling Trevor Lawrence or Danny Dimes in a mid 25 second? Are you that gross on him at this point?
Shane, Trevor Lawrence or a 109 in 2025?
Oh, 109.
112.
I'm not there, Scott. Are you taking the 109 over T-Law?
The 112 is it's technically not the 112 yet, but I'm pretty sure if you dangled a first that says 2025 in front of Shane, he'll give you T-Law.
Yes.
I'll go get Andy Dalton, and he'll outscore T-Law by 12 points.
It's true.
Slaughter.
It's true. Yeah, I would probably turn down the Daniel Dimes Jones in the second. Although Danny Dimes, like I said, is back-to-back 20-point weeks because he's just like, Malik, do something. And Malik's like, all right, here, you're a QB1 this week. It's a beautiful thing.
If you're on the clock picking, are you taking Nabers or Marv right now?
Man,
I saw that graphic. They compared Nabers to Odell Beckham, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase through 3 games, and it was like he was better than all of them.
So quietly, Marv has been amazing as well. Quietly, I mean, it was debatable before the season. I think I have so much Nabers, so clearly I made my choice. Right, I already made my decision by an 8-5 range. So yeah. Nabers.
I mean, Nabers is second in the league in air yards. He's 4th in the league in target share. He is 2nd in the league in points per game. Marv has been good, but if Nabers continues, I mean, it literally is the one outcome that even I was like, a Daniel Jones quarterback-led team is not going to support
a
receiver like this unless he's just insanely amazing and
getting a stupid amount of targets. That's what we've been saying the whole time, though, is at least he's going to get an obnoxious amount of targets, and we will take that.
A 30% target share to get to 11 points per game,
and he has a 39% target share,
and he's at 20.
So good,
whatever, 2 points a game. So
yeah. You sent me some Nabers offers, Shane, that were that needed their pencil sharpened. They were bad. They needed to be better.
I was trying to get him.
You were trying to get Nabers off of me. Yeah,
I'm sure those offers were fine.
I'll pull it up. But we have over 1,000 eyeballs watching here at the end at 10:02. That's all we have in terms of supers and hammers. Thanks so much for joining. Subscribe to Redraft in 5 as well. Redraft in 5. It's a whole different channel. We're not even on there, but Theo and Andrew Cooper are crushing it over there. And you see up in the top right corner above Scott's head, Trades in 5 merch. And there's going to be a link below in the description. But finally, we got a nice little sexy merch store. I highly recommend the hat that's up in the corner of the hat on my head. But yeah, check it out. Support the channel. Really help us over super chats and hammers for that matter. But there will be a link in the description. Guys, that's all I got. You want to say bye to the crowd?
Bye to the crowd.
Bye to the crowd. Another week. I'm curious. Maybe in the next couple of weeks, we'll kind of do a dynasty deconstruction, just to changes in the space. There's just been a lot that's happened, and I think the game is changing. I'm trying to capture that on my podcast, but I think it probably warrants a discussion on here as well. So maybe we do that, or maybe do a video covering that, because it is bigger than just trades. I mean, a lot of the trades in here.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but like a lot of dynasty content and a lot of dynasty analysis is out there right now is, would you do this trade? And the answer is, well, I mean, that guy's doing well through the first 3 games of the year. So, let's completely abandon all process and go, okay, Chris Godwin's now worth a first. Like, he's not, but if you traded a first for him, there is probably somebody out there that's like, yeah, I traded a first for Chris Godwin and Alvin Kamara, and I am killing you. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah. Yep.
Well, I don't know. I'd like to do a deconstruction of like where this, point is you traded for them and you did not care about anything about picks, and you're the one at the top of the standings. And we know it's probably not right long-term, but who cares if you end up getting them for 2/3 of the season? So maybe a future episode on that.
What is long-term? That's what I want everyone to think about.
Yeah,
think about what is long-term. Yeah. That's all I got. I got nothing.
Good stuff. All right. We love you all. I'm going to end this stream. We will see you soon. Cheers.
Deuces.